Hello, everyone, and welcome. In this episode, we are going to see how we can scrap OHLC data from NSE and save it to a database using Python. So, OHLC means open, high, low, close data, which actually is used for creating the candlestick pattern in the stocks. Okay, so it is readily available in the NSE website, and we are going to scrap it and we are going to save it in the database using Python so that we can use it in future for analysis. Okay, so what are the requirements of to continue in this session? You should have a basic knowledge of Python. You should have some market understanding. You should be able to navigate across the developer tools. I'm using Visual Studio Code for development, so please install it if you don't have it. And I have MySQL in the backend for data storage. Okay, so now let's jump right in and start. Okay, so let's go to the NSE website. So what are we going to go do here is we are going to search for a stock. Let's say I'm searching for TCS. Okay, yes. So when I search for TCS, it is going to give me a drop down, and when I click on the TCS option, I'm going to get this landing page, and I will be able to see a lot of information, but I'm particularly focused on the historical data because we are going to get the OHLC historical data only. Okay, so let's go over here. By default, it has an option to extract like till 1 year, but for analysis, it's best to have as much data as possible. Okay, so what we are going to do over here is we are going to find how much data is readily available and provided by NSE to us. Okay, so let's go back and see if from January 1st, 2020 to 2022, it's available. So it's nearly like 3 years of data. 2020, 2021, and 2022 is about to be over. So it's nearly about 3 years. So let's see if we can get all the data. Okay, it's throwing an error saying that the maximum you can pull is 2 years. Okay, so no worries. Let's set the year to 2 years. So 2020. Oh, let's set it to 2020, December 27th. So yeah, this should do the trick. Okay, so we can see the data, but it doesn't look like nearly 2 years worth of data, isn't it? So just curious, let's search in developer tools also and see if we have missed out anything. Okay, so let's go to developer tools and just in case, let's do a filter again so that the refresh happens and the request goes through. So we can see the request over here. So this is the link being used for getting the data, and let's go to preview and data. Okay, we are seeing only 49 rows of records. That's very less. It's not 2 years worth of data. We need 2 years worth of data. So what NSE has done over here is they have hidden the whole data from us because obviously it is a restricted data and it is really pricey to get the data outside. Okay, and what they did is they have hidden the data over here in the download option. Okay, so if I click on the download option, I'm obviously going to get a CSV file downloaded, but I'm not interested in getting the CSV file because I'm not just interested in extracting TCS. I might be extracting 10 stocks or 100 stocks uh, in a single shot. But to extract like 100 stocks of data in a manual manner, clicking 100 times, it's not very efficient. We are programmers, we are data scientists. We should be thinking much more better. We should be thinking automation. So what we can do is let's click on this download option and let's get the link from the download link and let's try to automate the data processing. Okay, So let's click on this, and obviously it has thrown me a CSV file, and it's downloaded over here. And as you can see over here, this is the recent request which went through, and this is the link. Look at this. Can you see the difference? In this link, there is no CSV is equal to true in the request URL. So that's the primary difference between those two. And the data is also different. Look at this. We have a CSV file containing 2 years worth of data stored over here till 2020. Okay. So this is the data we want, and we need it to be extracted uh, in Python. Okay. So let's go to the development folder. Okay. So over here, this is the development folder I have created. So let's open it with code so that we can do the development in this path. Okay. So let's close the home page, not useful. Let's create a new file. Okay. I'm going to create a file NSE scrapper OHLC to DB IPNB. Okay. Okay. So the kernels are being detected. Kernels is nothing but the Python environment. So let's click on this and set the environment to base, because that's where we are going to do the base. Uh, that's where we are going to do the development. Okay. Let's start off with importing the packages. Okay. We are going to extract the data using the link, the URL link. So we are going to use a package called requests. Okay. This is the package used to uh, get the data in using URLs. Okay. So NSE, what it does is it is hiding the information using headers. So if you don't provide headers, obviously you can't scrape any data from NSE. Okay, we have seen this in the previous video also. So let's start off and set the headers for extracting the data. Okay, so I have copied the request headers from the CSV link I just clicked on. Okay, and I'm gonna paste it under a dictionary. Okay, and as usual, I'm gonna do the dirty job of cleaning up everything to make it perfectly usable. Okay, this is actually a routine task. You should be able to be uh, doing this on your own, and it's best because it would help you to actually know where um, and what to do in each scenario. Okay, so let's put a comma. Let's structure it better. Okay, da, 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 da. Okay, SEC, these are all unwanted headers. We can remove it. All right, and some might have a question. I got to understand whether a header is useful or not through exploratory analysis only. So it comes with experience, so don't worry. Okay, let's structure it. All right, now we have a headers to place the request. Okay, now okay, this ran fine. Okay, now what we are going to do over here is um, we are going to place a request from the link over here from our Python console. Okay, let's copy this, and let's go to the page, and let's get the response. Okay, request. So this is from the package above, get, and we are going to set the URL is equal to this, which is nothing but a copy paste, and let's put a comma and give the headers. All right, headers. Now when I run this, the data should be fetched. It took less than 1 second. Great. So let's do a response to see if the response went through perfectly. 200 means response is perfectly gotten. So next, what we are going to do is we are going to extract the data from the response. So let's do a response and see the content available. Okay. So uh, it looks really messy. It's not in a right format also, because as you can see over here, we have some uh, content. I think xef and xbb, these are like some prefixes to mark the file content. And look at this, you can see it's slash n and all, blah 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 characters are here. These are all the things which we don't need. And obviously the content is actually returning a csv file, as you can see from here. Okay. So csv file, whenever you are trying to uh, get it, you usually go for the input output format, which is nothing but io. Okay. IO format will parse the content over here and give you the perfect data you need in the form of a CSV. Okay. But to read the CSV, you need the pandas file so that you can save the data frame and use it later as PD. Okay. And let's import the IO package also over here. So because anyways, we are going to use the package just now. Okay. Now let's get the content into a perfect format. Okay. Now let's start with writing the code. So this is the data for TCS. So TCS data is equal to, I'm creating a variable called TCS data. Let's set panda dot read CSV, and we're going to give the input from the IO package. And the IO package will take in the response content and parse it into a perfect CSV. And this and that CSV will be turned into a data frame using pandas over here. Okay. Always understand the workflow so that you can have complete control over your program. io dot string io, and let's put response dot content dot decode. We are going to decode the content into an UTF format. Okay. UTF is an universal format used to store the data. Okay. So this is also an UTF format. And uh, yeah, never mind. So let's run this code. Before that, let's disable this. Let's just run this. Okay. Okay. This ran really fast. Let's do a TCS data dot TCS data dot shape. All right. Okay. 289 records with 14 columns. Okay. It is really looking good. And let's do a TCS dot head. All right. Just to take a peek at the data. Look at this. We got the data in a perfect format. I mean, almost perfect, to be honest, because the columns and all are like looking weird. Because you look over here, the column is in camel case, one is in upward, one is in lower, uh, and looks a bit weird. So what we can do is we can format the columns also. Before that, I'm just printing to see if everything is okay. Look at this. Even there is a blank space in the column names. That is not what we want. So let's format the column names better. The reason why I'm doing this over here is um, later in this video, you are actually going to see uh, the data getting imported from Python to SQL, and you don't even have to create a schema. Seriously, you don't even have to write a whole schema before inserting the data. I mean, this will be really interesting. Just follow through. Okay. So let's make the columns into upper case. Okay. Upper case is far more better because it looks good, and that's one of the really good formats. Okay. So let's put TCS data dot columns. Uh, let's first remove the blank spaces first because that's not helping anyone. Blank, remove it with blank, and this is going to return me uh, an error. Okay, this is an index. Yeah, my bad. Okay, so let's put string. So this will give us the values in a perfect format. Look at this. We don't have any spaces, but still it's not in uppercase yet. So what we are going to do is we are going to change everything into an uppercase. Okay. So in this case, in this scenario, we're going to use the function called map. Map will item automatically iter through uh, the variables to change it into a particular format. So I'm going to give it as a string upper command so that it will make everything into an uppercase. And now I'm going to put it into tcs data dot columns. Right. Okay. So this is saying created a new attribute. Okay. This is a warning anyways. Ignore. Oh, it's a columns. Okay. So my bad. So yeah, tcs data dot columns. Let's check it. All right. Perfect. We have it in the perfect name format. So that's good now. Uh, just being curious, let's just do TSS head. The reason why I'm doing this now is now I'm going to do some data massaging to make the data in a to rate to get the data in a perfect format to insert into the database. Okay, so the data columns looks fine. The series open high low values, all of them are looking great, but looks usually doesn't give the whole information. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to check the data I have gotten and check the type of the columns. Okay. Okay, this is wrong. Look at this. Date is in an object format. It should be in either date or date time. Series is okay because it's a string column. Open, high, low, blah, 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 till number of trades. I think everything should be either in integer or float. That's the value it should be, but all of them are in the form of objects. And that is the next task. Okay. Let's change the data into the perfect format. Okay. Let's start off with the date column. All right. So date is equal to, let's put it as pd. There is a way to convert all the columns, but I'm going to do it one by one to have complete control over the data. Okay. So let's put tcs data of date. All right. So this should ideally do the trick. All right. So let me just uh, the data is in, I mean, the data ran without any trouble, so it should be in a right format. But let's do a head again to see if, yeah, did you see the difference? Last time it was 27 December 2022. Now it's 2022 12 27. So the change has happened. Okay. Now let's do it for other columns also, from open to number of trades. I think two columns are not necessary. Volume and the number of trades is already in int format. So that's great. So we don't have to worry about it. So let's focus on the other columns. Okay. Let's get TCS data open, and let's convert the data, the open column, to um, what we're going to do is we're going to set it as float because float is the column which is there. Okay. Okay. It threw an error. What is it saying? could not convert string to float. Look at this. This is containing a comma, uh, which is actually ruining the process, because usually if there is only dot means the package will change the data from string to float without any troubles. But now comma is actually causing trouble. So if I am not wrong, over here, look at this, in open, high, low, close, blah, 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 every column has comma in it. So automatically comma needs to be removed from the data set over here. Okay. So let's do that before uh, the converting process. Okay. Let's add another section here, and I'm going to, I mean, the data is, I mean, from my understanding, comma is only there in numerical columns. So even if I run, even if I replace the comma in all the columns, means I don't think date, series, and all will get affected. So what we can do is we can straight away remove all the commas from the data. Okay. TCS data. Let's update TCS data with TCS data dot replace. We're going to give comma. Okay. I'm going to use regex expression over here to change the data content. Okay. Because when you are doing when you are dealing with one column, you can use straight away replace it. But when you are doing it for the whole data frame, you have to use regex over here. Okay. I'll show you how it's done. So I'm going to give comma to be replaced with blank. Okay. And I'm going to mention that regex should be used, because when you don't mention it, that also will obviously going to throw an error. Okay. So this should do the trick. Lengths must match. Okay. Yeah, this error is nothing but uh, a colon. I have to give a colon for regex expression. So that's my bad. Okay. So now let's run it now. It ran without any kind of errors. So the commas in the dataset has been removed. So now this code should work. Okay. Yes, it has. Now coming back to the dirty part of the analysis, we have to structure the columns in a perfect way so that we can use it uh, again. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this for all the other columns and do the same change. Okay. So open high low. Um, let's do a TCS dot columns here so that we can have all the columns here. Okay. So open is already there. High, low, previous close, LTP, close, VWAP. Some people even create technical analysis using VWAP. We'll do that in some other session. Okay. So 52-week high, 52-week low, volume. Volume, I think, already was in a good shape. Yeah. So we don't need that. The other one needs to be value, value, value. This is not necessary. Now let's run this. So this column is not needed now. Now let's do a TCS dot head to see if the data is looking good. Data is looking good without any comma, blah blah blah. The data is in perfect format to be loaded into DB. Now to quality check, let's do a TCS head dot D types again. All right, datetime object float int float int great. It is in a great format now. All right, everything is in perfect shape. Now let's get to the SQL part. Okay, so I'm using MySQL in my background. So um, just search for MySQL installation and you will get thousands of blogs and videos to help you install. And I'm using the plain vanilla MySQL edition. So when you install MySQL along with its tools, you will get an IDE called MySQL Workbench, which is nothing but something similar to my PHP MyAdmin. If any of you watching this is familiar with that, you will be able to make changes to a database using this IDE. So I'm just using whatever comes with MySQL installation. Okay, so uh, the installation is over here. So I'm going to click on this connection, and if you see over here, the schemas, these are all like default schemas. So default schemas is nothing but the database. So schema, you need to create another schema over here to store the stock market data which we just gotten. Okay, so let's click on create schema and let's just give it a name, NSE data, NSE underscore data. Okay, we don't need to do anything else. Let's click on apply. It is going to ask for confirmation. Click on apply, finish. It is going to give you the um, information over here. Let's click on it. And under the schema, we don't see any tables or anything over here. I mean, there won't be because we just created it and it's blank. So now here is where the interesting part is going to come. Now we are going to push the data into this NSE data database. Okay, so let's get back to Visual Studio Code. Okay, so I'm going to use a package called SQL Alchemy, which is actually useful when it comes to pushing the data into database without a lot of effort. Okay, import create engine. So essentially what I'm doing over here is I'm getting the engine function from SQL Alchemy package, and I'm going to connect to my database using this engine, and then I'm going to push the data over here, the TCS data frame into the SQL database. Okay, so let's mention the table name first. Okay, table name, let's give it as a variable so that we can keep track of what table is actually getting updated. Okay, so let's mention OHLC data as table name. Okay, now let's go ahead and create the uh, database engine. Okay, so let's name it as SQL engine is equal to create engine. So now what I'm going to do is I have to write a string which gives out the database URL, the connection URL. So I have to mention what is the database I am connecting, and I'm going to mention from which package it is going to use in the background, and I'm going to give root, my username and password, nothing but it's username and I mean my username is root and my password is password. Yeah, obviously it is lame because but this is my local system, so I don't have to worry about security and all. Okay, so let's mention NSE data, which is nothing but the database name. Okay, so far I think you are with me. So now I'm going to just give another uh, parameter which is nothing but uh, just for performance optimization. So ignore it. Even if you don't want it, you can just ignore the pool recycle option over here. Okay. So now I'm gonna connect to the SQL engine. Okay. So let's put a DB connection. No, is equal to SQL engine dot connect. All right. It ran fine. So let's do a DB connection. It says engine based connection. Can you see? If it says connection, means it ran through and the object is perfectly created. Okay. Now let's insert the data. All right. So I'm gonna write it inside a try function, because if you fail, obviously it will throw an error saying that you didn't install that insert the data properly. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. I'm gonna install the data frame. I'm gonna rename. I'm gonna name the variable first. A name TCS data dot to SQL, and I'm gonna give the table name mentioned above and the DB connection. As you can see over the here, IntelliSense is helping me to fill in the uh, variables. Sorry, parameters. Table name, and I'm gonna give the DB connection details, and I'm gonna mention if exists is equal to append. So this is the most important parameter over here. Okay, if the table already exists, it should append and not rewrite. Okay, and if the table doesn't exist, it will automatically create and append. So that's the basic functionality of append parameter over here. So let's mention the index as false, because we don't need any column numbers to be pushed into the database. Okay, and let's just put except, and let's just print the error. That's it. uh, oh, print exception as ex. All right, let's put ex. That's it. Simple. I'm not uh, entirely focused on that. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if the try statement actually worked perfectly or not. It should go into the else command and give us the message that whether the table got created successfully or not. Okay, so I'm just going to give a simple message over here so that I can keep track of whether the table got inserted or not. Okay, created successfully, and let's give the table name over here. Okay, percentage table name. So now this essentially will get the table name into the percentage. Yes, this is actually one of the string manipulation methods. Okay, I'm gonna give a finally command because I have an open database connection. I want to close it. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna close it. Close. All right. So let's see the workflow. It will try to install. If it fails, it will throw an error. Else, it will mention that the table got created successfully. And finally, it will close the database connection. Great, right? So now ideally this should work. Let's run it. Table OHLC data created successfully. Isn't that awesome to just see these kind of words when it gives a positive impact? I think, yeah, let's go back. Let's refresh so that we can see something over here. Tables, previously it didn't had any drop down buttons here. Now it has. Look at this. It says OHLC data. Okay. So now let's do this. Let's set this schema as default so that we can run queries on top of the database NSE data. So let's put a select star from OHLC data. Yeah, IntelliSense is helping me. Great. Let's run it. I got the data. TCS is open, high, low, close data is now in my database. Now I can reuse this database data for uh, any purpose. I can do any kind of analysis. Isn't it really interesting? I hope you find it really interesting. Okay, so we are done. We have gotten all the uh, data into. I mean, we got all the objectives done. So we used very minimal code, and we got free stock market data, and we saved the data for future analysis also. Okay, so that's great. That's a great session. So I have a do it yourself exercise. If you are interested in learning more, you can do something on your own. Okay, so what you can do is you can try to get the top 10 Nifty index stocks OHLC data from NSE. You can do it maybe one by one. You can do it maybe uh, getting all 10 stocks in a single time. That's your wish. uh, Try to use the trading symbol as an identifier. Okay, so Reliance, TCS all will have trading symbols. Use that as an identifier and store it in the database. Then you can actually use the trading symbol to query the data very efficiently. So let's say you need only Reliance data or only TCS data for analysis. You can use the trading symbol to get the data yourself. Okay, and yes, thank you for staying with me and learning all the good things. So subscribe and like this video. And if you are someone who is interested in stock market data analysis, algorithmic trading, or prediction models building, I post contents on that. So please follow. Okay. Thank you. Bye.